Welcome back, fam. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I wanted to chat about my experiences accessing healthcare and sort of how I've navigated my, I guess, experiences as a young black queer woman and how I'm going to continue to keep navigating it, because health is a part of my life. It is a part of the human experience, so we need to be able to figure out how to move through that in order to provide ourselves with the best care that we can possibly afford. I've been on my journey with health and well-being for a while. A lot of it sort of started off camera, and I think a lot of it sort of moved around things. I think starting off with my self-perception, my understanding of my history, my family, my mental health, and a lot of that has moved into needing therapy and, you know, needing to look after my emotional health as well. When I was around 18 to maybe 21, a lot was happening in my life, and I needed a lot of support around how to manage my well-being and my emotional state whilst being a young person, whilst growing up out of home, and just sort of, figuring out how to do life. When I had to jump in there in the very beginning on my own as a young adult, it was like very overwhelming. I think one of the first things that, looking back now as an adult, as a 26-year-old, I can say that representation is a really important thing, because I think that a lot of the experiences that I had, just in terms of being able to feel like my experiences would be, you know, genuinely seen and understood by someone that resembles someone like me, would have felt a lot more safer, a lot more approachable. I would have felt like I could genuinely talk to someone that to some degree would have a very basic understanding of what I would be experiencing as the person that I was. And I didn't see any black doctors or any queer, you know, focused or, you know, just practiced in general. My sort of experiences were largely with white hetero doctors, and they were usually men. And I felt like it was pretty jarring most of the time, just trying to feel comfortable expressing my experiences to a complete stranger, but also feeling like what I had to say was just a completely different experience. And I think that sort of brings me towards the idea of cultural awareness. Having health practitioners and health sort of, you know, medical people coming from the same backgrounds, whether it's them being African or black or just being, you know, people of color divorced from, I guess, the Western lens. I tend to feel like there is a level of genuine either lived experience or, you know, engagement or perspective that they have brought on board what they do, their perspectives, their ability to analyze and understand how, you know, a young black queer, you know, woman might be feeling based off of the lived experiences that she's had growing up. And so being a young person, having to navigate all of that, and then having to navigate being at a home, and then having to navigate my mental, emotional well-being to a white heterosexual male doctor was it was like I was speaking another language. Unfortunately for me, I had sort of an experience where I was sort of falsely diagnosed as having something that I wasn't, and just really feeling like what I was going through wasn't validated, wasn't really real, and it was my fault. Feeling forced to feel like I had to sort of figure it out on my own, because I didn't feel like my health representatives were really able to work with me in a way that was going to feel like effectively help care for me in the space that I was. You know, I made it like my mission when I was like, you know, at a home to find like, you know, a therapist that was going to be, you know, a person of color and or black, queer, and had some kind of respect in their discipline to be able to work with someone from, you know, such a diverse experience. And, you know, it was hard at first, you know, and ultimately, here's the thing, like, you're wanting to find, you know, in my case at that time, I was looking for a therapist that was going to be able to help me, you know, work through my stuff in a real intersectional kind of way. And I remember way back, like, my cousin, this was a couple of years ago, but my cousin was like, what does it mean? Like, what does it mean to have an intersectional therapist? Like, what, and why, like, why does it matter? And I'm like, well, it does matter because it means there's so much emotional labor and work that I don't have to be doing whilst sitting in rooms talking about my trauma, reliving my trauma, and them being able to like genuinely do the work rather than me feel like I have to do more than what I should be required to. And then on top of that, it's also just feeling really recognized and really validated and feeling like your experience isn't as challenging as it could be if you spoke to someone who didn't know what your experiences were like. And on top of that, it's also just feeling like you can be safe, feeling like you can be seen, and feeling like your experiences are genuine experiences, and also knowing that, you know, we live in a white supremacist, you know, capitalist, patriarchal society, and those elements do impact you, you know, especially like as a young black queer, you know, woman. Like, those are things that definitely impact you. And when you have someone who's able to dissect that, use that within their analysis, and work with you in a way that is going to genuinely provide you the healthcare that you need, is going to feel holistic. It's going to feel genuinely like you are moving and you are actually creating change within your whole spiritual, emotional, mental, and physical well-being. And so, yeah, that was sort of like the answer I gave her. And so, like, as I continue to navigate finding that kind of representation within my, you know, therapy, I remember one of the first therapists I saw was a woman of color, and I genuinely appreciated the ability to have that experience, but I didn't feel like the therapists themselves was a great match to me. And that's the other element, is that ultimately it matters that you find someone that does resonate with you. Eventually, a black, female, African therapist who, you know, worked with queer folk that, you know, was very essential in decolonizing their practices and genuinely wanting to work with uplifting, you know, people of color, black people, and, you know, talking about our mental health in a really real way that unpacked culture. I also just was really shocked at the same time that there were black therapists. I mean, that sounds like ridiculous. I'm very, very lucky that I was able to have that experience. And honestly, other than just like what I got out of it, just the fact that I knew that she existed, yeah, that was really like special for me. I didn't stay with them for very long because financially I wasn't able to support myself in that way. Therapy is very expensive. I think I will definitely continue to have therapy. It is something that I will genuinely invest in it in a long-term kind of capacity. I think it's just important for me to always feel engaged in my experiences. No longer the young, you know, teenager / 18 to 21-year-old that I was. I'm definitely more aware, I'm definitely more informed, and I'm going to continue to sort of be conscious about my experiences when accessing health, whether that's for my mental well-being, physical well-being, or emotional well-being. Yeah, this is something that I'm going to continue to work through and navigate as I continue to grow and get older. But I think it's a very interesting conversation to have, because I think that the more and more, you know, Black people and people of color are able to sort of validate their experiences and, you know, sort of find out what their needs are, like on a really real level culturally, and know that those needs matter too, the more and more we have more of an enriching experience, and it feels a lot more like holistic. It feels like, you know, like we can really have authentic health experiences where we feel like our money is genuinely, you know, being valued. We genuinely feel like we are investing time and energy into healthcare that genuinely represents us. So yeah, I wanted to share that with you because this is something that I'm obviously very passionate about. I'm passionate about finding intersectionality within, you know, healthcare. This is something that I'm going to continue to talk about. I'm going to continue to navigate and discuss, because health is a long-term journey, you know, it never really sort of ends. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you for tuning in. I look forward to seeing you in my next one. Thank you.